everybody talks about, but no one can do anything about it.
I know.
And it is this interesting thing of just,
All right, we're going live right now at the
if we can go or not today.
NASA Space Center for the live
I mean, look at it this way. Bob and Doug got one.
blast off of the SpaceX launch.
It's always best to practice and practice and practice, yes.
So, woohoo, get excited.
Less than 2 minutes now from.
About less than 2 minutes, and we'll be go
Go
live.
directly to Bob and Doug, and we will quiet down so we can listen in for that, because I know we can't wait to find out what that is. And those of you watching that have been following along, we are eagerly awaiting to hear whether the weather is going to be a showstopper today.
These clouds can seem really deceiving at times, right? You see the blue skies peeking through and you think everything's fine, but you just don't know. That's why we have those launch weather officers.
Absolutely, and I know,
We're about to go live.
It's not just
Woohoo! Get excited. You're live here at Satellite Streaming Servers.
in flight.
Official YouTube channel.
They need
20 minutes, 44 seconds, 43, 40, 39.
There's so many variables, and that's why, not just with this flight, but with every human space flight we've had in the past, there's always a very good chance of a scrub because you do have so much criteria that you have to meet. And we're going to listen in now. We're just seconds away from a weather update.
Stage 2, RP1 load complete.
They'll just do all their system checks right now before they do the launch.
That is liquid oxygen you see venting off the rocket. That's completely normal and expected. We're standing by for a weather update.
Unless you can give us another 10 minutes, I don't think we're going to get there with any of the rules today.
I'm going to give you 10 minutes.
I mean, another 10 minutes past T0.
Oh,
1645 local, I think we'll probably be clear on all the rules, but not quite going to make it for this.
Okay. We're going to check back in with you about 2 minutes, and then I'll call it up at about T-minus 17 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, there's some of them are starting to count down, but we still have one above 2,000. So if that gets below,
And that didn't sound great right there. That was the weather net going out, but we're still standing by for a final decision. And we're going to continue to listen in for an update, but in the meantime, we're going to go over to John Insprucker at SpaceX headquarters in California. John?
And Dragon SpaceX on weather. We're still
T-minus 18 minutes and counting.
LD is
we are still red on weather.
Expect an update from LD.
We're waiting in about another minute for one final check with weather. We're going to check at T-minus 17 minutes possibly. We don't really expect that things will have improved. The weather officer was not optimistic that the weather would clear up that rapidly. We did hear the launch director, Mike Taylor, joke that, if we could move 10 more minutes past the T0, weather conditions may improve, but Mike was not able to do that. We have an instantaneous window today. So at 17 minutes, we want to make that call because shortly after that, we will begin loading liquid oxygen onto the second stage. So if we're not going to have the opportunity to launch, if the clock's going to run out, stand by.
Continue to violate a couple different weather rules that time to allow for a launch today. We go ahead and today's launch attempt, launch control. Go ahead and the launch auto sequence and proceed into the launch abort auto sequence, please. Launch abort has started.
And Dragon SpaceX, unfortunately, we are not going to launch today. You are go for 5.100 launch scrub.
5.100.
T minus 0, 16, 3 minutes and counting.
Copy all.
For the
We've heard the call.
Dragon crew blast off to the International Space Station. Woohoo!
Has called a scrub for the day, and we got the feedback when the Dragon team informed Bob and Doug. They said we gave it a good try, what they understand, and we are here to try another day. So right now we did officially hold the clock. It looks like a T-minus 16 minutes, 54 seconds. The launch automatic sequence that controls the Falcon 9, the loading of propellants, the cycling.
This is going to be the future.
Has also stopped. We now proceed into what is a normal scrub sequence for us. We practice this every launch. So now we move into
Godspeed, guys. We wish you best luck from all of us from Satellite Streaming Servers. Good luck and welcome, and make sure you get home safely.
Then we will disarm the escape system on Dragon, and we'll bring the crew access arm back around the spacecraft. So right now we got down to just inside 17 minutes.
17 minutes of launch. Woo!
Working very well on both Dragon and spacecraft. We had the fuel loading going on. We had liquid oxygen loading going on, everything but second stage. And the weather just needed a little bit more time.
Okay, I'm getting the goosebumps. I'm getting the goosebumps right now.
Have that time because we had an instantaneous
The CEO of Satellite Stream Server is getting the goosebumps.
SpaceX launch director had to call upon the input from
Okay,
weather.
Dragon, copies
Had to
all
call
about 30.
Come on, Dragon, let's go. We let's make some history today. Woohoo! Get ready for blast off.
Undergoing the post-scrub operations on both Dragon as well as Falcon 9.
Launch America. Let's do
No
this.
issues being reported right now as we start to go through that sequence. Everything looks good. And Dan, we had a good webcast going here until the very end. So we'll look at it as now we've had another great dry rehearsal. Last Saturday we did a dry one, I should say, and today we've done a wet dress rehearsal. But sorry, we just couldn't get there, Dan.
Yeah, thanks, John I. And obviously, we can't control the weather.
The CEO is now live on
just squeeze in between those cloud systems to get a
chat.
launch today, but it wasn't.
So if you wanted to chat with the CEO of Satellite Streaming Servers, we are now live
We're going to be doing this all over again, essentially, on Saturday.
on Launch America.
And that launch attempt is going to be
For the
coming
launch,
at 3:22 p.m.
the Dragon
Eastern
crew.
Time, so a little bit earlier in the day.
We
It's
launched
gonna
to the
look largely
International
same to
Space
everything
Station.
that we saw today, with the crew waking up, going through suit up, making their way to the pad. So we're gonna feel a lot of deja vu, I think, on Saturday.
But still exciting. Safety is always first, so if weather was not there for us today, hopefully Saturday it will be there for us and we will have a safe launch on Saturday.
Yeah, the initial weather report still had us at about, I think, a 40% possibility of violation. So weather a little bit better, but we're still going to be kind of rolling the dice. It is Florida in the spring and summer, so storms are always a possibility. One of the good things, though, the vehicle appeared to be in great health throughout the day, both Dragon and Falcon 9, so we didn't have to scrub for any technical issue. We're going to continue and follow along with Bob and Doug until they're out of that capsule, as, again, they had started loading fuel onto the Falcon 9 rocket, so they'll have to wait until all that fuel comes off. They'll disarm the launch escape system, which still stays armed because they're still sitting on a partially loaded rocket, and then once they're able to disarm that launch escape system, the crew arm will swing back out. They'll make their way once again back the way they came, and then we'll be back to crew quarters for Bob and Doug for a few more days.
About to launch.
But if you're just now tuning in, wondering why we're not still counting down, we did have a launch scrub today. We were just a little under
Stage 1
17
launch and
minutes.
fuel flow rates are nominal for offload. Expecting about a 40-minute offload time.
So that call out the LOX, the liquid oxygen fuel pumping out of the first stage of the Falcon 9, everything looking good with that. Expecting about 40 minutes for all that fuel to come off. So again, once that fuel comes off, Bob and Doug will be able to disarm the launch escape system. That crew access arm will swing back out. They'll be able to make their way back down and then over to crew quarters. So
let's just hope we keep our fingers crossed.
Because of weather, that was the one thing we were tracking.
Yeah, that weather is going to fucking screw us up.
Bob and Doug get suited up for their launch.
But hopefully we can launch it.
Launch or scrub today's launch with a little under 17 minutes to go until our T0 time, which was 4:33. So that's going to move us to our next attempt, which is coming up on Saturday, and that time is going to be 3:22 p.m. Eastern time, so a little bit earlier in the day for Bob and Doug and for everybody else watching around the world. They're still going to have a 19-hour flight to station if that's when we launch, and a lot of the stuff that we saw today is going to look very similar, but we're just going to have to try again, cross our fingers, hope for a little bit better weather.
Damn weather.
And again, this goes with every launch. We do track everything all the way down to T0 to make sure that everything is go, making sure that the range is go, weather is go. So this is standard procedure. We always tend to make sure that we have a backup day, launch day, in case we do have scrubs like today. So this is pretty normal and standard. Nothing to be worried about. Again, we do this for the safety of our vehicles as well as today.
As the crew.
Astronauts on our vehicle. So even bigger reason for us to make sure that we have safe weather for them to fly.
And just a reminder for everyone still tuned in, it takes about 40 minutes for all of this propellant to come off of the Falcon 9. And while it is offloading that launch escape system on Dragon, which is designed to pull the capsule away if there's any issue with the rocket or anything on the
Yeah, we want the Dragon crew to be safe. So if we have to postpone it, I will try to go live with you. But yeah, we will. It will. When they do launch, I'm gonna be there.
Dragon, and they'll make their way off and then down the tower.
But hopefully.
But if you're just now tuning in, no launch today. We did have to scrub because of weather. We're going to be moving to our second attempt on Saturday, just a little bit earlier in the afternoon. Just going to continue to stand by as this propellant comes off. We heard a call that everything was going nominally or as expected so far. And then once all the propellant's off, we should see Bob and Doug make their way out of Dragon shortly after.
Well, is it? Oh, yeah, part of the safety too. That's unfortunately the launch was suspended until Saturday.
And what you're seeing
that was
on
kind
the screen is a live view of Bob and
that was kind of disappointed, but it's for their safety and NASA.
Safe for them to disarm the launch escape system.
Hopefully, they can try to do another attempt for Saturday.
This will take a bit of time, so we are going to stay live with you to watch this as they exit the vehicle eventually and come down from.
But you know what?
Standing down.
I want to say that Satellite Streaming Service is very proud to be part of this event. I was hoping that they would do the launch today, but I guess according to the weather, they have to postpone it until Saturday. But yeah,
one of the weather criteria was the strength of electric fields in the atmosphere.
Electric fields in the atmosphere is what caused them to prevent launch because of the weather.
And that's one of those rules where we need a.
Yeah, that's another. Part of the reasons why they had to cancel the launch until Saturday. It's not the weather from what we're used to down on Earth. It's what the weather is above the atmosphere. Electrical discharges in the weather.
Since we do have an instantaneous launch window today, we weren't able to make it. So
So it's not the weather. So those of you listening right now, it's not the weather that's down on the Earth. It's the weather above the atmosphere.
They had a great ride out to the pad. All of their initial checks on both the suits.
So they monitor the weather outbound out of the atmosphere. So in other words, if the weather discharges, electrical discharges within the atmosphere, that's why they postpone their launches.
Enough practice doing this, so when Saturday comes,
so they monitor the weather outside the atmosphere.
The NASA and SpaceX team are fully.
The weather on Earth does not about you. Just the weather outside the atmosphere is what they really monitor. But hopefully the weather outside the atmosphere will be a better launch on Saturday. Hopefully.
Not only around the pad, but in the case of
But they have to do this to make sure the crew of the Dragon safe.
that they were flying up the east coast of the United States in this launch today. We're monitoring that weather.
But this still a launch in America is still exciting. A brand new
while they're flying into space, we have to make sure that conditions are
a brand new spacecraft that NASA created.
They're not going to be landing in the middle of a
High-tech spacecraft. Hell yeah! But yeah, but we want those guys to be safe, get home to their families.
And people might be asking, if we knew the weather was going to be a little iffy today, why continue to count down? Well, that is the reason why we do all these checks all the way to countdown. In Florida, the weather is, pretty sporadic. Sometimes a thunderstorm or hurricane will pass through. Within 20 minutes, it's gone. And
all that weather is up in the atmosphere, so they have to watch out. Anything on the weather has to be watched from the atmosphere level.
Again, to just continue to monitor weather all the way down to the last minutes of the count, and we see what happens. So today, unfortunately, we did scrub for weather, but we will attempt again this Saturday on May 30th.
And hopefully by then, we're going to have a lot better weather system
And, Dave,
above the atmosphere.
Right now we are 11 minutes after the scrub was called. Liquid oxygen and fuel are coming off of the first stage. Hard to tell from the view. It's still a little misty around the tank because there's LOX on board. But we're between half and a third of each of the fuel and LOX tanks filled on the first stage. So propellant coming out right per plan. The second stage fuel tank is offloading. That's going slower, but it's also a smaller tank. It doesn't take very long to either load it or to offload it. The other thing that we're working on is the high-pressure helium spheres, as well as the nitrogen spheres for the landing leg system. The pressure will be brought down on those, eventually getting it down low enough to where people can re-enter the pad area. So right now, the team is preparing, once they get permission, the SpaceX ingress-egress technician team will come back inside the caution area around the pad, make their way up when conditions are right, open up the hatch, and assist the astronauts out of the Dragon. I'd like to point out that for those who are wondering whether or not, having gone through this, putting propellant, pressurization gases on, getting fairly close to launch, whether that has done anything to wear out the Falcon 9 or the Dragon, the answer is no. If you can recall, the Falcon 9 is designed for at least 10 flights, and about time we get up to a 10th flight, we'll be doing testing to find that we've probably got enough margin to continue.
Yeah, they haven't blocked off the flight, so they're still good for 10 more flights. So that will,
we haven't even
so
the first flight.
They'll just have to just power it down and wait until Saturday.
The fact that we may scrub a launch. So even today's operation, where we have pressurized and we have stressed the vehicle a little bit, that's taken into account in our design and our qualification testing. The other good thing is that the most stressing part of the flight for the Falcon 9 on the first stage is the reentry. So we didn't even get through that. So we're sitting here on the pad. It's a fairly straightforward situation. and not stressing on the fact.
Yeah, so pretty much
on the
welcome
Dragon
to
spacecraft
NASA
with the human
life.
rating factors to carry crew.
The basis on what the weather is in the upper atmosphere.
Redundancy that just having two people on board and closing the hatch.
But you know, again, they have family. They have to protect the astronauts on board along the NASA rocket, the new rocket.
The automatic sequences that we use routinely, both at the launch site,
But hopefully
Kennedy Space
by
Center, Cape Canaveral,
Saturday, May 30th, they
as
will
as an
continue the
Texas test
launch.
site for first and second stage.
But here, as a
Helen
CEO of Satellite Streaming
April,
Servers
plan.
Incorporated,
We'll see,
LLC,
Bob and Doug up in the Dragon spacecraft.
Godspeed, and
Just
hopefully
waiting, when we can get up there, open the hatch
we
and help them egress and
can
connect
launch
back to
by
the tower. And the other thought I
May
had,
30th,
Dan and
by
Jesse,
Saturday, May
is,
30th.
Right now we are coming up on what would have been T0, and I'm wondering 10 minutes from now whether the weather officer would turn around and say, yes, it turned good. You just didn't have a long enough window. We only had 1 second and we needed 10 minutes. So we'll have to ask offline and say, hey, did the weather conditions improve? And one thing I'll tag on to that Dan was mentioning and Jesse was talking about the launch opportunities. The launch window does move earlier on Saturday a little bit. So it just happened to be Orbital Dynamics said today, if you want to go to the International Space Station and you want to launch northeast, which is the approved trajectory, you have to go right at 4:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time. You pick another day, the T0 moves. It's just luck of the draw. We might have been doing this at 8 in the morning when we were getting lightning, or we could have been doing it a few hours from now.
But yeah, it's probably a good thing that they did it now.
We can all look at Isaac Newton and Johannes Kepler for orbital dynamics telling us when do we launch, and that stuck us right in the middle of a period of bad weather. So there's my science lesson for today, Dan and Jesse.
It's good. Hey, good science lesson, man. Good job.
But for anybody, if you're just now tuning in, wondering why Falcon 9 is still sitting there on the pad as we move past that T0, we did have a scrub for weather today. Just not able to clear all of those.
So people are tuning in on my channel. Yeah, they had the weather scrub, so they're gonna have to propose it to May 30th on Saturday. So pretty much the weather scrub. It's the weather. They're not talking about the weather down on Earth. They're talking about the weather up in the atmosphere. The clouds and lightning storms might be above the Cape Canaveral, above Florida. That's the weather they have to watch out for. The weather above the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, we copy, Jay. We appreciate that update. We can see some raindrops on the windows, and just figured that whatever it was too close to the launch pad at the time we needed it not to be. So we appreciate that and understand that everybody's probably a little bit bummed out. It's just hard to
Satellite streaming servers that are bummed out, but you know what? It's the safety of the crew and so.
Copy all, and yeah, we concur. And appreciate your resilience sitting there in the vehicle for us.
But wait, well, like I said, we can try again on Saturday, May 30th.
Nothing better than being prime crew on a new spaceship.
Copy that.
All right, some great words from Bob and Doug. They're feeling good inside Dragon. They'll be ready to go when we make our next attempt on Saturday. Right now, we're just still waiting for all of the fuel to come off the Falcon 9 rocket. After
Stage 1
that,
oxygen fuel roughly 20%, and stage 2 fuel 36%.
answer that call right there. We're still at a little over 20% on fuel, RP1, and LOX, liquid oxygen, on the first stage, and then at about 26% on RP1 on that second stage. So again, it takes about 40 minutes once the process starts, so we should have right around 30 minutes or so until all that fuel's off. And then the crew will get the go to disarm the launch escape system. We'll see that crew access arm swing back into place, and they can begin to egress or get out of the Dragon spacecraft.
And you heard it live, that weather update of what we violated. We were just 10 minutes off, unfortunately, but again, today was an instantaneous launch. And as John explained, it's due to the orbital mechanics and making sure that at the time we launch, it will allow us to get to the space station on time and accurately. So you can see on your right screen, Bob and Doug are patiently waiting. They do still have their visors on and still strapped into their seats. The launch escape system is still armed right now as we are offloading fuel and will not disarm until prop offload is complete. And this is just to ensure the safety of Bob and Doug and make sure that they can egress safely from the rocket.
And just a reminder, today, just this first attempt, we're going to be right back here looking like on Saturday for attempt number 2. Launch America's not going anywhere. Still on the track to get Bob and Doug into space and get this Crew Dragon up to the International Space Station. So it's always good. If you're going to scrub, probably rather scrub for weather than an issue on either Falcon 9 or Dragon.
Very true, guys. Very true. Very true.
Our countdown today. Everything passed with leak checks on the hatches and the crew suits. All the communications working great. All the teams were ready to go. So, as John and I said, always nice to have a little bit more practice, and we'll be right back at it on Saturday.
But yeah, the
wasn't even more
the new Dragon
today, now we have to push it
looks awesome.
Really got to build the suspense.
Yes.
I love the way that they did it on the touchpads and computer. Oh, that's hell awesome.
Another thought crossed my mind while I'm watching the diagram here showing fuel is just about off.
I mean, I love how they did the new Dragon capsule. Very high tech. Talking about like Star Trek or very, very awesome. They are reaching for the future. The Dragon design is sweet.
They still have the viable pad abort means, something that we demonstrated.
But fortunately, they have to wait till Saturday, May 30th, before we try the countdown, weather pending.
So they're staying there with the system armed until all the hazards are essentially removed, and we bring the crew access arm around them. We're standing by a minute. We're going to listen to Launch Director talking to the weather officer.
If you're just now tuning in, we did not launch today. We did have a scrub because of weather, but as we were saying, we are looking forward to trying this again on Saturday. Our launch time on Saturday will be another instantaneous window, so we'll have to have the weather cooperate again. And that launch time will be at 3:22 p.m. Eastern. I think our last weather update put us at about 40% probability of violation. John and I can check me real quick.
Yeah, Dan, what I saw coming out of the Air Force was 40% probability of violation, I believe. It's always tough because they report in terms of violation, and the optimists have to subtract that from 100% to go, hey, 60% chance, I'll plan my picnic. We were listening, the SpaceX launch director, Mike Taylor, was talking to the launch weather officer asking about the 3 criteria that scrubbed us today. It sounds like in another minute or two, the lightning and the attached anvil cloud rules will clear. The field mill rule, charge in the atmosphere, is still bouncing around, and so, hey, we may need several more minutes before that one would clear. So we'd need even longer than 10 minutes in the window today, it looks like, for all the rules to clear. That brings up what I wanted to mention a little while ago. I got lost listening to the weather brief. But there are a lot of folks who are going, why an instantaneous launch window for Falcon 9 and Dragon? Now, typically when we go to the space station, when we do the mission planning, it's an instantaneous window. There may be enough performance in the rocket to launch somewhere in a 5-minute period, but you've got to pick a time in there. But in the case of Falcon 9, once we start propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes, it doesn't matter so much if you can move 5 or 10 minutes left or right, because the whole sequence is scripted. We do the flight analysis assuming that the temperatures of the propellants are below a certain amount so that we know how much performance is available to the rocket, how much margin we're going to have. So essentially, if you start the countdown, 4 hours, 8 hours out like we were doing today, then you have a very short window. Once you get into propellant loading at T-minus 35 minutes, you have to go as soon as you get to zero. We don't have the ability to stop the countdown, wait 5 minutes. Now all of a sudden the liquid oxygen starts warming up from 340 degrees below zero in the ground system, and that changes how much performance you get carrying into orbit, and we don't want to cut into those margins. Now, if we had something like a 4-hour window, which some communication satellites have, we could actually get down to almost zero, hold the count, detank the Falcon 9, wait a while, it takes us about an hour and a half, reload a whole new batch of cold liquid oxygen and fuel from the big storage tank that we've got there at Pad 39A, and try to launch again. But in that case, you have to be able to launch, about an hour and a half or so later after you scrub. And in the case of the International Space Station, an hour and a half from now, it's nowhere near where we need to be to get to orbit with the performance of the Falcon 9 and the Dragon. So today, it's a combination. We start the day with a 1-second window,
just informing you,
but once we get inside of 35 minutes, it becomes an instantaneous window for the Falcon 9, regardless of what the customer may be able to give us. So there's a little explanation for folks who are wondering why we have such a tight window. All right, now it looks like we are bringing the last bits of fuel off of the stage, and liquid oxygen is just about off of the stage. So things are clocking right along for the 40-minute timeline. Everything looks good, and we'll wait to hear that we're clear, and then when we get the call for Bob and Doug to go ahead and disarm, launch escape system, and the crew access arm will come back out, center itself around the Dragon hatch, and then the ingress team will go up there and open the hatch.
Thank you for the science lesson, John I.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Hey, no charge.
Much appreciated.
We did hear a quick call to the crew there. We should be just under 10 minutes away from that prop offload completing. It looks like we're just tracking
Stage 2
the
fuel
RP1
offload is complete.
And there we have the confirmation. Stage 2 offload's complete, and we should have
So again,
RP1, so that densified propellant, or the RP1 is kerosene. We should be under 10%, a little under 10 minutes until that's off. And then we'll step through those events we were discussing.
So again, the launch in America has been scrubbed until May 30th, Saturday, May 30th, due to weather conditions above the atmosphere. So, but it's for the safety of the astronauts and the rocket. But then we're going to try and do, hopefully, try to relaunch on May 30th
Florida, though, the weather is constantly changing
on Saturday,
which is why we always have to keep an eye on it through every
due to
launch that we have.
bad weather up in the upper atmosphere.
Bob and Doug are patiently waiting. As you can see, that is a live view of them on the cruise.
So technically, they have to wait till they power down the rockets.
Complete. Second stage
for their safety
is complete. We are just waiting
and make sure it's safety before they can get them out of the rocket.
Fuel roughly 5 minutes or so.
But yeah, in English,
And again,
power down the
escape
rocket
system
before they
is
can get them out.
armed. We are waiting for a prop offload to complete before they disarm that, and then they will be able to egress from the Crew Dragon vehicle.
Right, it's,
So we should be just under 5 minutes away from the last of that fuel coming out of the Falcon 9 first stage. And then we'll see those events start to pick back up, and we'll see the crew arm swing back out. They've been in those seats for a couple hours now. They typically get inside of Dragon a little over 2.5 hours ahead of launch. So they've been strapped into these seats for quite a while. They are custom sized, though, so they're as comfortable and as snug as possible. Obviously, since they're going to be in them for a really long time. But most importantly, when you're doing that splashdown at the very end of the mission, it's your car seat, and splashing down or landing on land is not the most gentle of procedures in a capsule. So just really making sure that they're snug inside of that Dragon capsule. But we should be a little under 5 minutes away from the prop offload being completed.
And as Dan mentioned, those suits are custom made, but the seats are also custom fit for each astronaut as well. They do remain on Crew Dragon for this mission for almost 24 hours so we do want to make sure that they are comfortable and make sure that the suits and the seats are comfortable enough for them to stay in that position for a while. I believe when they get into orbit, they are allowed to...
so yeah, what you see on the left side screen is what they were seeing on their view. This is actually an actual test screen, a test screen view of that they have, the new technology that they have on the rocket. So it's actually, those screens are actually test screens for the Dragon capsule. So just put it on. The screens you see are actual test screens on the Dragon capsule, which is so freaking cool.
They'll have a number of different events that we'll be able to walk you through, including manual piloting of Dragon and just really putting the spacecraft through all of the paces before it arrives at the International Space Station. Because again, this is a test flight, and this is this last test before we certify the Dragon spacecraft for regular crewed flights, which will just be bringing up those longer.
So yeah, hopefully this test flight is going to work out, so they can start using the Dragon for future flights.
Should be a very exciting
test
flight because it's pretty much like
this is if this test flight goes well, they can use it for future flights, which would be awesome. Hell yeah!
Some final things for this demonstration mission.
But I mean, just for right now, we are just going to continue to stay with them until we see them come out of Dragon, because the launch escape system's still armed while we wait for this propellant offload to complete. That's just done as a safety measure. Anytime you have rocket propellants beneath you, you want to make sure that we have a good way for them to get out of the way. And so we should be within just a couple of minutes for that final bit of RP1 coming off the first stage, and then we'll hear the crew get the go to disarm that launch escape.
So the NASA SpaceX Demo 2 has been scrubbed. Next launch will be attempt to be 3:22 p.m. Eastern Saturday. NASA TV coverage begin at 11 a.m. The launch America. So hopefully by Saturday, the weather in the upper atmosphere will be better for launch. So hopefully,
I imagine it might even be more.
Keep your finger crossed.
Anticipation that we've hyped this launch up for.
I was hoping that they would do the launch today, but oh man, I was so looking forward to this. But again, due to the weather and the upper atmosphere, they have to scrub it due to the safety of the astronauts and the Dragon capsule. But hopefully by Saturday at 3:22 p.m. Eastern, Saturday the coverage will begin at 11 a.m. So the next attempt will be 3:22 p.m. Eastern Saturday. NASA TV coverage will begin at 11 a.m.
And just a reminder, everything else on the vehicle and for the mission was looking good today. It was just the weather, which, as John I said earlier, and Lauren even referred to him mentioning this.
Man, I was kind of disappointed myself. I was kind of hoping I could be live to the broadcast, doing the blast off, doing the Dragon SpaceX blast off. Damn it, damn! But
And they should be ready to go again with the next launch.
This is such a historical event. The launch of Dragon with high-tech rocket with touchscreens.
So we'll just kind of stand by for a few more moments. Hopefully we get that call soon, John I.
This could mark the next era in space exploration.
Jesse's discussion about it was just the weather. I think during this countdown, there were more words said about the weather than everything else.
Uh-huh.
I'm listening right now to a weather discussion in the background.
But again, yeah. But for their safety, they have to scrub the mission because due to the weather, bad weather in the atmosphere caused by rain, lightning, storms above the atmosphere.
Sometimes we have even hurricanes coming through or bad weather coming through and passing 20 minutes later and having good weather for a launch. So this is why we continued to attempt to launch today, but unfortunately 4T0 today, weather was not on our side.
Yeah, and Jesse, this is John again.
But hopefully by Saturday, at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Saturday, NASA will attempt the relaunch. Weather permitting, of course. But the NASA SpaceX Demo 2 has been scrubbed due to the weather.
We were close, but we needed about 25 minutes.
But again, it's due to the safety of the astronauts and the new.
Offending some people, but the old saying that says it's better to be on the ground wishing you were flying than flying wishing you were on the ground.
Yes, definitely. Safety first.
Yep.
Always. And making sure that
Safety is first.
do fly, they are flying safely and as planned.
Because we want them to go to space tomorrow, Saturday. Hopefully.
They do have a safe flight to the International Space Station.
I want to see this flight. This will be a major milestone for the NASA.
We're just continuing to stand by, expecting the call that
For the Dragon capsule. So it has to be scrubbed due to bad weather.
Nominal TPC set points for Congress.
So that's waiting for the Dragon capsule to power down from the rockets before they exit for their safety.
LD, count that one. LD. We have the prompt here for nominal crew egress. Okay, so we're ready for launch escape system disarm.
But Satellite Stream Servers LLC will be with you until they be able to depart the Dragon capsule.
Dragon SpaceX.
Then hopefully I'm going to try to be live on Saturday. Hopefully.
Disarming launch escape system.
Weather permitting.
5.100.
We'll put that work. Section 2, disarming the launch escape system.
All right, that was the call we were waiting for, propelling off of Falcon 9. So Doug Hurley, Bob Behnken now going to disarm the launch escape system on Dragon.
Well, so looking forward for the launch of the Dragon. Oh, man. But again, the weather. Always, the weather always affects us. But what can it do? What can it do?
And showing then confirmed the launch escape system has been disarmed.
And Dragon SpaceX, with that confirmation, you are go to open your visors and proceed to Section 3.
Okay, we'll open the visors and go to.
So the Dragon spacecraft has been disarmed. So what now is going to happen is they're going to remove the visors, and
As you heard, and you can see,
they will be able to start
open their visors,
ready
for
departure.
exiting the vehicle. Again, they kept their visors on while the launch escape system was armed, while prop offloading was continuing, and that is just to make sure that they are safe. Now that there is no more propellant on any of the vehicles, they are safe to have disarmed the launch escape system and now are getting ready for that crew arm to swing back, the hatch to open, and for them to egress.
SpaceX Dragon with an update. We're holding in 3.4, and we're ready for seat rotation when you are.
Copy that. We'll wait for the closeout team to open the hatch and verify clearance, and then we can execute seat rotation.
Check cap.
And there's that crew arm swinging back towards Dragon. Once that crew arm is in place, they will be able to open the hatch on Crew Dragon. Bob and Doug's seats will rotate back out of launch position so that they can safely get out of their seats and egress the vehicle.
And we heard they'll have what they call nominal egress, so just the normal procedures for getting them out of the capsule. It means the same closeout team that was there to get them in will be able to assist as they come out. They'll arrive and get that hatch open. Then they'll be able to rotate the seats. That'll rotate Bob and Doug pretty much forward, where they'll be in the original position that the seats were configured when they made their way into Dragon. It just gets them a little bit out and under the displays and makes getting in and out of the capsule a little bit easier. They've been in those seats for about 3 hours at this point, so definitely a long day for the crew. As they woke up about 6 hours prior to our T-0, had their breakfast, which we confirmed was steak and eggs, at least for Doug Hurley. And then they proceeded through all of the suit up and the trip to the pad, making their way inside Dragon, where they've been for about the last 3 hours at this point. We were on track for an on-time liftoff right at 4:33 p.m. Eastern Time, but did have to scrub a little under 17 minutes before launch due to weather. So for now, we've offloaded all of the propellant off of Falcon 9. The launch escape system has been disarmed. The crew access arm is back right up next to Dragon, as you can see in that view on the left. Pretty soon we'll see the teams arrive to get the hatch open, get Bob and Doug out, and they'll make their way back to crew quarters and their quarantine. It is important to note that throughout the entire process of them getting into Dragon, suiting up all of those different steps, they maintain that same quarantine that they've been in since for about 2 weeks now, and that is specifically for events like today, where we have to scrub and just go to another day. So we don't want to break that quarantine once we're putting them into that launch vehicle, and that's a standard quarantine that we have for any crew members flying to the International Space Station. The current COVID-19 pandemic obviously puts a little bit of extra pressure and a little bit of an extra spotlight on that, but they're following a lot of the same procedures that we have in place just to keep crew members healthy before they go and spend several months in space in an enclosed environment with just a couple of other people.
Right, and it's a little bit more difficult to get them help on the space station.
That's why it's always important
when they do.
So when you go out in public too, to wear your masks.
So this again is
every time you go into public, wear your mask.
Pandemic that's going on.
A distance, but 6 feet. That's all. Or if you can't, stay at home. That's the safest way to prevent the coronavirus. the
standard
COVID-19 epidemic.
This is something that is practiced and rehearsed and made sure that we do follow our standard procedures to make sure that everything is still safe. Bob and Doug exit safely and go back into quarantine and get ready for our next launch attempt.
Looks like they're getting a chance.
Which should be May 30th
Yeah, Jesse, I'm monitoring along
on Saturday.
procedure right now. They're getting the goes to get the folks back to the pad, the crew that'll open the hatch. So they have notified the team chief, launch engineering, to return to the pad. As a reminder, around the pad, the Air Force and NASA set up roadblocks to make sure nobody gets into the hazard area. So they will head to the roadblocks. They'll pull them open so that they can drive to the pad. So launch director, I think, is estimating it's still about 15 minutes for the crew to drive all the way down out to 39A, get up the tower, and then begin operations on the hatch. They have confirmed that the purge of the Dragon service section, which is nitrogen during the countdown to avoid an oxygen leak, that is back on air now. The crew access arm is on air, so they're ready for the egress team to get up into the tower. But it's going to take them a little bit still, I think, to drive down the road in the vehicles and go up the elevator. But everything continuing to run per a normal scrub countdown, which we have had the opportunity to practice with the crew in, for example, the dry dress rehearsal last Saturday, after we had done the static fire of the Falcon 9 the day before.
I've been seeing a few questions, people asking why aren't we just trying to launch tomorrow? As John and I was talking us through, there's some very specific times you have to identify when you're going to be able to link up with the International Space Station. You only have so much fuel, which can only generate so much energy to make sure you're going to intersect with the station, which is flying at over 17,000 miles an hour. So you're hitting
Dragon
one bullet
SpaceX
with another
comms.
bullet. Some of our other launch attempts are able to make it to the station, but have much longer
Hey, Dragon,
times.
to prevent us from losing comms, we're going to be switching to umbilical at this time. I'm going to be unmerging Countdown 1, but we'll keep you updated here on Dragoncraft.
So, pretty much what they're saying is they have to maintain a window to launch up to this International Space Station. If they were launched tomorrow, the window will be longer. So,
Say tomorrow,
because the Earth rotates, so it would take them longer to get to the International Space Station, and it will use a lot more fuel to get there. So they have to wait for the window to come in closer when the Earth rotates.
Potentially to reach the station, which could wreak some havoc with the sleep shift cycles, not only for Bob and Doug, but also for the crew on board station.
Yep.
That has to line up their sleep schedule with Bob and Doug as they arrive, and the crews on station.
So pretty much they have to wait. They have to put it in a nutshell. They have to wait for the Earth to rotate to the closest to the International Space Station. That's why they only have so much amount of the window to launch during that window, and hopefully that weather will be better in the atmosphere upon launch.
How long is it going to take to get there? And that's why Saturday is going to be our best option. We're going to be targeting that one at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Time.
So that'll be the best window that the Earth can rotate, be closer to the International Space Station.
If we're able to get off the ground on Saturday.
And hopefully the weather will be a lot better. Hopefully.
And this gives Bob and Doug, a few days to kind of shake off the nerves from today's launch attempt, give them some more time to rest, and again get ready for our launch attempt on Saturday. And if you're just now joining us, we did scrub our Demonstration 2 mission today. And as John mentioned, we are waiting for the egress team to make it back to the launch pad, head up the tower, and help the crew, or help Bob and Doug egress the vehicle.
Dragon SpaceX for closeout team status.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the closeout team has arrived at the pad and they are proceeding to the White Room.
Copy that.
And
That call out.
and that may,
The egress team is at the pad and are proceeding to meet Bob and Doug in the White Room, where they can open the hatch and help them exit the vehicle.
but a lot of you might think, why?
We'll
But
continue to stick
I see blue. I see blue sky in the background. How come they can't launch now? Well,
and
for one,
once more back
again, they missed the window
that egress team move.
as the Earth rotates.
The black clean
They missed that window
that we saw
of the International Space Station.
Doug get into
So if they
just several hours ago.
did launch, they wouldn't have enough fuel to make it to the International Space Station.
That dragon side hatch open.
So that window is very important.
And as we saw earlier,
That
this is
they had to launch within that window
structure, but the elevator's pretty quick there. So we saw them enter the bottom
to arrive at the International Space Station on the orbit of the Earth.
Make it to the top and are able to
And
get to the White Room.
the weather above the atmosphere is calm, no storms, no electrical storms, or anything like that. So if they miss that window, they have to wait till Saturday before the Earth can rotate to the position of the launch window where they can launch, weather permitting. There's no more storms in the atmosphere to prevent them from launching. But once you miss that window, even if they could launch, they don't have enough fuel to get to the International Space Station. So, otherwise, they have to wait till the next launch window, which will be on Saturday.
Just be a few more moments. We'll see that closeout team make their way back into the crew access arm and down the hatchway. And again, if you are just now tuning in, we did have that scrub just about a little under 17 minutes before launch. Our next launch attempt is going to be this Saturday, May 30th. At launch time, it's going to be another instantaneous launch time. It's going to be 3:22 p.m. Eastern time over there in Florida. Assuming an on-time launch, it'll be a pretty similar flight that we were looking at today, where it'll be roughly about 19 hours before they make that initial contact to the International Space Station. They'll get on orbit and execute a series of 5 different burns to gradually raise their orbit until they're just a few hundred meters below the station, maybe a few kilometers behind, and then they'll do all of the final approach initiation maneuvers. And by that point, the team here in Hawthorne will be working very closely with the team down in Houston in the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Weather for Saturday still not ideal, but it's roughly what we started out with today, where we have about a 40% chance, possibility of violation, and it'll be tracking a lot of the same issues with cumulus clouds and potential precipitation. We'll also be keeping an eye on all of the downrange weather. It looks like we're seeing some people start to make their way into the crew access arm now, so we should see them get that Dragon side hatch open in just a few minutes. But as a reminder, we'll be looking at weather around the launch pad and weather downrange in their flight path on the way to orbit, and that's always checked just in case they have to do any kind of emergency maneuver and land down in the Atlantic Ocean. We will be making sure that the weather is at acceptable levels all the way until they're into space. So can see the team coming down now. Should see the hatch open momentarily.
But yeah, but look how high tech that look. That is so sweet. Talk about the future of Star Trek or something.
We are staying live until Bob and Doug are safely out of Crew Dragon. You can see on your left-hand screen the team getting ready to open the hatch for them and help them out of.
So yeah, what they had to make sure there's no radiation. That's what they were scanning for, radiation.
And at this point, the launch escape system has been disarmed. That was done after we successfully offloaded all of the propellants from the first and second stage of the Falcon 9 rocket. There are propellants loaded into Dragon, so the teams look like they were just doing what we call kind of a sniff test, so using a portable detector just to assess the atmosphere around the Dragon capsule itself before they get the hatch open and bring Bob and Doug out.
So technically, in human terms, radiation.
All of this is standard safety procedures for egressing the vehicle. This is to ensure the safety of the crew, as well as Bob and Doug.
Dragon SpaceX for status.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the closeout team is at the White Room. They are configuring the crew arm for egress. Expected to take no earlier than 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. Thank you.
It should be just about 10 minutes. As a reminder, they're in the White Room. We walked through that a little bit earlier in our coverage this morning. The White Room name simply because of its color, and that's something that started all the way back during earlier Gemini missions. And that is literally the last place on planet Earth where astronauts are standing before they get loaded into this vehicle. It has an environmental control apparatus and a seal that it can put right up against the Dragon spacecraft just to keep all of that dust, dirt, Florida humidity
In Dragon
out of the
SpaceX,
capsule.
we're right at 3 hours in seat rotation. I just wanted to check in with you on comfort levels.
Copy that. I just want to say copy that. Copy that.
Copy all.
And obviously at this point, with the launch escape system disarmed, we have loosened up straps and gotten our feet out of the straps on the bottom of the seat, so it's a little more comfortable anyway.
Copy all. Looks comfortable.
Copy that. I'll sit in that seat.
Right now, the closeout team just going to take a couple of minutes to configure the White Room. They'll set up a seal between it and the Dragon spacecraft just to make sure we're not letting anything from the surrounding environment get into that spacecraft, which is kept very pristine, obviously, for the crew members once they're inside. They have a small bridge that just connects the crew arm to the capsule itself. Making sure they have a nice clear path for their entry.
Copy that. Copy that.
So it should just be a few more minutes. We'll see that hatch get opened, and then our crew members can start to make their way out. And you heard seat rotation. They rotate the seats prior to their actual flight to where they're a little bit more parallel to the ground, and that just puts them directly in front of those displays. We'll see them rotate down, just giving them easy access to get out of the capsule.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually tune into NASA official YouTube channel.
As Dan mentioned,
And you can, right here,
to keep FOD out of the capsule.
then
FOD is foreign object debris, so that's basically anything that does not belong.
so you can tune in from, you can tune in NASA channel on their next attempt on Saturday, May 30th. But I'm going to try my best to do a live broadcast from satellite streaming servers.net.
Be another attempt and another opportunity for FOD to enter the vehicle, as they're exiting, we still make sure that we keep everything basically like a clean room.
And then again, once they exit it, they have to go to quarantine to make sure there's no be tested for any coronavirus. If they maintain in the quarantine room for so many hours, once they exit the capsule. And then they have to make sure that.
You may hear some vehicle venting.
And then they will actually quarantine the suits, put it in the clean room so they can go back to the clean room, go into quarantine, put on the suits, and we exit the capsule to prevent any coronavirus entering the International Space Station. That's why it's very important. Everybody, even on Earth, need to wear masks, even when they walk around in public. If wear a mask. Doesn't matter if you walk around, wear a mask. Go into stores. Keep your 6 feet distancing. Keep yourself safe. If the astronauts maintain quarantine, you guys should do the same. Wear your mask, maintain 6 feet of each other, and Godspeed. So right now we're just waiting for the okay for them to disembark from the capsule. But enjoy the view. That's a nice view from Florida. See the ocean in the background. Yeah, see how the weather is looks like blue skies. But the weather, yeah, probably has been subsiding, but they missed the window. So they would have to wait for the next window, which would be May 30th. That would be closer to the International Space Station because they won't have enough fuel now to make it to the International Space Station. So that's pretty much why they have to set the window on launch time. But they missed that window, so they won't have enough fuel to get to the International Space Station. So remember, those of you tuning in, the Earth rotates.
John Isberger here with the webcast desk in Hawthorne, California. We are continuing to wait for the crew to open the side hatch. We've got the camera showing astronauts Doug Hurley, Bob Behnken inside. Visors are up. They've gotten their feet out of the restraints. Gloves are off in case of Doug, it looks like. And the team is just outside the hatch. They're going through the sequence right now, make sure pressure checks are all good. Make sure there are no concerns with gases, be it the propellants of the vehicle or just nitrogen gas that we use as a purge. Currently, we are coming up on about 50 minutes after the Plan T0. To just reiterate what Dan and Jesse have been talking about earlier, we had a good countdown. I had a lot of fun saying there were no issues on Falcon 9 or Dragon of a technical sort. The range was ready to support. The downrange weather looked good in case Dragon had to make a unplanned abort splashdown in an escape maneuver somewhere in the Atlantic. And we even had once we get on orbit, in case Dragon had to re-enter and come back early, the weather was good in the Pacific in case it had to come down. So everything was looking our way, except Mother Nature, the weather. It's Florida, and we got into the back end of the tropical storm that has now gone ashore in the Carolinas. But unfortunately, that left everything disrupted just enough to where we violated several of the weather rules, and we did not have enough time for them to go green. Green meaning where the range says conditions are clear and you are all right to launch. We were still red on those rules, and that was the end of the countdown for the day. Again, we scrubbed at T-minus 16 minutes, 54 seconds. That was shortly before we were due to begin loading the liquid oxygen onto the second stage. That was both the logical breakpoint in the countdown procedure where we could take a scrub without loading one more propellant on the vehicle. And at the same time, that was when the range gave us the final bad news that we weren't going to get green conditions before the clock ran out of T0. So continuing to watch right now as the crew works to get the hatch open. They send final commands, making sure that everything's go. Once the hatch is open, the ground crew can verify that there's nothing in the way under the seats that Doug and Bob are sitting in, and we will get the seat rotation again, get them back a little bit more vertical. They're more on their backs right now in the launch position, so they'll rotate, then they'll help them out of the seats, and they'll come back out and down the arm and off of the tower.
Yeah, tune with me later. I'm gonna try to do a little in depth
Dragon SpaceX for status. It looks
more about the Dragon capsule,
inflating the hatch seal,
so you can see a little more about it before the launch.
Okay, yeah, we can see the folks outside the window.
So yeah, join with me on maybe within another day, maybe by tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do a special broadcast of the Dragon capsule. Again, you see them viewing the control panels. That's all touchscreen, which is a new high-tech capsule, pretty much made possible by Tesla technology. That is so cool. I mean, that's like so sci-fi. Be able to have an actual high-tech space capsule. I mean, NASA has gone a long way, and to see this history of NASA launching the Dragon into space, I'd love to see this in future missions. I mean, they could fit a lot more people too. They can build a Dragon that could fit more astronauts. Just take and they have a storage compartment underneath the capsule, as you can see, the white block, so they can store different, maybe a satellite or equipment. This could be the future of the NASA. That's why this would be a very important milestone for NASA, and I hope the launch in May 30th is a success. Yeah, I mean, those of us who watch Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica when we were kids, I mean, that's sci-fi. But you know what? The people that make this possible is people that go to school for engineering, um, um, architecture, design, aeronautics, people that go to school, computers, IT. Like me, I've gone to school for IT, technology. That's why I started my own server company. People like us is what makes NASA progress. Without people going to school for knowledge, learn this stuff, we need more people like that to help NASA progress in the technology of space exploration. I mean, will we ever be like Star Trek, like Star Trek Enterprise? Yeah, it can happen, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of work. A lot of work. Pretty much, yeah, but it's going to take a lot of people with that education for computers, technology, and IT, sciences degrees to make it happen. But I encourage you, don't stop learning. Continue your learning in your schools, your colleges. Make this happen. Because without scientists, without computer technology graduates, IT graduates, we need all you guys. We need all the technology graduates, all the computer graduates, IT graduates, science graduates to make it possible. Even during the coronavirus, it's very important that you continue your education through online courses, even if your college is shut down. So if you're majoring in computer, science, IT, I encourage you, don't stop. Please continue education in computer, sciences, technology, IT. With your help, we can make NASA much, much better, which is seen today.
All right, we've been quiet for a few minutes, but if you're just now tuning in, we did not launch today. We did have to scrub today's mission due to weather. We were just under 17 minutes away from our T0 time at 4:33 Eastern when the call was made. We were still in violation of a few of the weather constraints that just are really there to inform teams when it's safe to launch. So we're looking at weather both around the pad and weather all the way on the way to orbit for them. So we did have to scrub. Since then, we've been able to get all of the propellant off of Falcon 9. The launch escape system has been disarmed. And right now, the closeout teams are there in the white room, so right at the end of that crew access arm. They're configuring the big seal that goes around the Dragon capsule just to make sure its environment is isolated from all that nasty Florida weather. And then they'll be able to get the hatch open, and we'll get Bob and Doug back out.
But I just wanted to let you know that I was so in love with space and technology for a long time. Um,
We're coming up on just under an hour since the Plan T0. Again, if you're just joining us, well, we've been here summing up for a while.
Dragon
Launch
SpaceX
did
for
not-
status.
Stand by for status check.
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, closeout team's still working to do the hatch CO inflation. Expect another 5 to 10 minutes.
Copy that.
Okay.
Damn, I just wanted to say that. Copy that.
T-minus 16 minutes, 54 seconds. We violated 3 weather rules. The weather rules finally cleared up, but it was long after the Plan T0. The SpaceX egress team did return to the pad. They were sent through the roadblocks that surround the pad, marking where the hazard area is. Team's up on the crew arm, and as you just heard, SpaceX talking to astronauts Bob and Doug. They're working the seal around Dragon. Then we make sure that Dragon capsule pressure is equalized with the crew arm, and then we'll go into the hatch opening sequence. So we've still got several more minutes. We'll carry that as we go. A couple of points to bring up. Once the crew comes off of the Dragon and comes back down, goes back to the crew quarters to de-suit, we will be
Dragon
leaving.
SpaceX for awareness. We're going to command the vehicle into pad hatch open in preparation for hatch opening.
Copy that.
Okay, that's good. That'll get them into the sequence to make sure that the pressure is inside and outside.
And note this will equalize cabin pressure, so you may notice something like that.
Okay, thanks.
So as I started to mention, once everybody's off, we'll leave the Falcon 9 Dragon, the crew arm, where they are. That is in the launch support position. There's no plan to come back down to horizontal. The vehicle is designed to stay vertical. Now, if we were to find something wrong during the countdown as we go through data review, that could mean that we have to come horizontal, as we did late last night, early this morning, as we were working a ground issue on the transporter erector, and then we went right back up. But currently, no plans to come horizontal. We'll stay vertical up to the next launch attempt on Saturday. There will also be, as is typical, engineers will go through all of the data they collected today, and then there will be a report out in what's called a Delta Launch Readiness Review, probably this Friday before we get into the next launch attempt on Saturday. That's where the engineering disciplines will brief management, chief engineer, launch director, mission director, the NASA customer, where we stand on today's countdown, what we learned, as well as our readiness to proceed into another countdown attempt. But currently at Kennedy Space Center at historic Pad 39A, we're getting ready for the hatch opening and the crew to be able to leave Dragon, come back down, get out of their suits, and wait to go another day, hopefully this coming Saturday, the 30th.
Yeah, what I want to say was like when the weather cleared up, yeah. But yeah, when the weather cleared up, again, the Earth's always past the window, pre-launch.
In Dragon SpaceX, sure you see the vehicles in pad hatch open. The AVVs are now open, and that nitrox injection is complete.
Yep, we felt it and heard it, and copy all.
So pretty much the weather's cleared up. The Earth's already past the window for launch, so they have to wait till Saturday. The next attempt will be 3:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Saturday. So right now they have to wait for the next launch attempt, for the next window. So they have to pretty much wait till the Earth can rotate by Saturday for the next window, so they can launch. So they have enough fuel to get to the International Space Station. But you know what? that happens when it comes to NASA. They have to follow these safety guidelines for the safety of the astronauts and the new Dragon capsule. But you know what? It's worth the wait. I mean, I still want to see launch by Saturday, and it will launch. Hopefully, weather permitting. If as long as there's no upper atmosphere storms or weather conditions up in the upper atmosphere. And that was pretty much the reason why the launch was scrubbed. Doesn't mean there was no bad weather on the Earth, but again, the upper weather in the upper atmosphere was containing lightning storms, severe lightning storms, and that's pretty much why they had to scrub it, due to the upper atmosphere weather. So those of you tuning in, so why they had to cancel it? The weather, it's only a few drops. Well, they don't look at the lower atmosphere. They look at the upper atmosphere and the weather, because that could prevent tragedy. Lightning storms could strike it, blow it up. So they want to make sure it's the safety of the astronauts and the space capsule. So that's why safety is very important. So pretty much they monitor the upper atmosphere and the weather conditions before they can launch it. And the window of the Earth's rotation. So, two, once they have a window, they have to launch it. Because if they miss that window, the Earth could turn. And if they launch it after the window has turned, it would take them a little longer to get to the International Space Station with low fuel. So they have to maintain that window on departure from Florida Launch Center, which it only has so many fuels after launch. And they have to be able to dock with the International Space Station with it so much time limit, because they're in that window. It's science, all that good stuff. But you know what? By Saturday, hopefully they'll have the window and the weather permitting by Saturday. Hopefully. So keep your fingers crossed.
And Dragon SpaceX for status, the closeout team is stepping into hatch opening now.
Copy that.
Copy.
But I do love that suit, though. Those suits are fucking so sci-fi. Oh yeah, and I love the touchscreen. And the touchscreen, whoever designed that, I think we had to give that to like Tesla, because with Tesla, it's probably by Tesla. See, those companies like Tesla, NASA, anyone that designs technology like that, they have to be working together. That's the kind of companies we need. Engineers, designers, architects, computer technicians, IT, going to school. That's very important in the space exploration for NASA. That's the only way we can advance our space exploration. You see, like in Star Trek, or anything like that, we need those people with that education to provide future exploration for NASA. So if you're in school right now, but you don't want to, you're thinking not to pursue it because of the coronavirus, and you don't want to go to online learning, please take a minute to think about it. Your education, even about online, if you continue even the online courses through your institution, that will give NASA and you the opportunity to produce the best NASA experience. International Space Administration to produce better spaceships, better space capsules, maybe even starships. The sky is the limit, even in sci-fi. Sci-fi is not possible. Sci-fi is people created it by imagination, but isn't all imagination created by people going to school? Yes, you people like you go to school, create these designs, create these new computers.
John Innsbrucker back here at the webcast desk in Hawthorne, California. We've got another camera up, and you can see the side-by-side view on the monitor. Astronauts Bob and Doug inside, waiting for the hatch to come open. We're still in the middle of a equalization step. Make sure that pressure inside the Dragon is equal to the ambient pressure, so that when we open the hatch, it just comes open without any extra force. You can also see the SpaceX team is up alongside the capsule. They are removing essentially the thermal protection devices. For example, if you have a door handle on your automobile, if you're going to have to re-enter from outer space, you're going to have to put a small heat shield over that door handle. Otherwise, any kind of protuberances, cavities could be subject to burn-up. So they have to take their time, make sure that we get all of the thermal protection safety devices off, so that they can then get access to the mechanism to go ahead and bring the hatch open. So what you are watching right now on the left monitor is the egress team going through the steps. This is typical. We're not hearing any chatter over the pad net. If they're having any problems, they just take their time and make sure that everybody's ready to bring the hatch open when they finally get there. So currently we are 2 plus 1 hour and 11 minutes or so since the planned launch. Obviously, we're still on the ground as we're going through the post-scrub operations to bring astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Bacon out of the capsule. And you can see now, hatch is coming open. There's a view from the camera inside the capsule. You can see the hatch area. Crew gave a quick wave to the ground crew when it came open. And right now they should be inspecting the area underneath the seats so that we can command the seats to rotate back into the ingress-egress position, make it a little easier on Bob and Doug to get in and out of the seats.
Dragon SpaceX, just for awareness, they have a few more steps in their procedure, and they should be calling to us for seat rotation shortly.
Okay, copy that. Yep, we see them working on that. And just as a lead into that, we are ready for the seat rotation. So just let us know when you're ready to start.
We'll go.
Here's a confirmation from the Dragon team talking to the astronauts that they are just about ready to send the seat rotation command. Again, the ground crew is verifying, making sure that none of the cargo that's packed in Dragon underneath the crew, nothing is in the way, nothing came loose. You're looking at one row of crew seating, but there is, as we've mentioned before, Dragon is designed to carry up to 7, but on this flight, for example, much of the cargo that we're carrying is loaded in various areas down below where the astronauts are seated. So they're just verifying nothing's in the way, so that when they send the rotation command, the seats will pivot without encumbrance.
No, dude. We need the space exploration for the cure. Yeah, I mean, I believe with the space exploration of NASA and people going to school for medical, but with space exploration, that's a next step to prevent any more diseases. But we need the help of scientists, medical, doctors, and scientists to prevent future outbreaks like the coronavirus. Space is space is space, but
Dragon SpaceX, we are initiating seat rotation.
But
Dragon copies, we're ready.
that is the next step for the cure. Scientists, doctors,
That call out from the Dragon
people going to school for computer programming.
that we are sending commands from the ground to rotate the seats, and you can see astronauts.
We all need everybody to
rotating
stop this virus.
back to a more comfortable position to get in and out of the capsule.
Just look what they have accomplished.
Hey, Dragon SpaceX, seats are upright. Thanks for the valiant effort today, helping us test our scrub timeline, and we'll see you Saturday.
And Godspeed.
Yeah, we appreciate those words. Everybody did great today. It was a great practice, and we'll do it again on Saturday. Everybody stay safe, and we'll talk again on the loops.
Likewise.
And just
Dan, we've heard it. They've got rotated. The hatch is open. The ground crew is going to work to get the astronauts out. The SpaceX Dragon team, like the SpaceX Falcon 9 team, is going to be coming off of console now as we turn it over to the folks on the pad. So while we didn't launch, it was a pretty good countdown and scrub sequence. So we've got that good lesson learned under our belt. We look forward to Saturday having even better results when we get close to T0.
That's right. Always great when we don't have any issues with the capsule or the rocket, which we didn't today. Just had to fight that weather. And we'll be doing the same on Saturday. We are looking at about a 50% probability of violation. That's about where we were today. We did see it was all just a matter of trying to line up correctly. And didn't make it today, but we're going to try again on Saturday.
Right, and it sounds like we were just about half an hour away from making the launch attempt today with weather, with 50% weather chance on Saturday. Hopefully we have a better day at T0 for liftoff.
But we're definitely going to all be back. Jesse, myself, and John I will be here in Hawthorne to take you along every step of the way. We hope everyone else tunes in also, because this is really going to be a monumental moment. We're now going to look towards Saturday for America once again launching U.S. astronauts on American rockets from American soil. With
Hell yeah.
out of the capsule, though, that's going to do it for us here at Hawthorne. We're going to send you back down to Florida for one last check-in with our teams there. So over to you, Marie, Lauren, Leland, if you're still sticking around, and we're going to be looking forward to Saturday.
All right, thanks a lot, Dan. Yeah, we're just all sitting here. We watched Bob Benkin just climb out of his seat. Looks like he is out of Crew Dragon now, and Doug Hurley following suit. No pun intended. There we see Bob in the foreground and Doug climbing out of Crew Dragon in the background. Pad closeout team looks like helping them out. So any minute they're going to be basically just reversing course, coming back the way from whence they came. Leland, I know you had a scrub years back.
Yeah, Marie, in 2008, we were having breakfast. I never scrubbed while I was in the vehicle, but we were having breakfast, and we got a call from the flight director saying that we had these engine cutoff sensors that were bad. 2 were bad, and the flight rules say that you should have to have 3 of 4 to fly. And so we all said we're not going to fly unless we have them. And I think we all need to know that the flight rules are there to protect, our astronauts and their families. And we got very close today. We sometimes get that launch fever that we want to go ahead and just try it anyway, but we have these rules for a reason. And it's really important to stick to the rules, even in the heat of battle, even with, dignitaries here. It's just, the way that we have to do it as operators.
It's also a good wet dress exercise. Went through, exercised all the systems.
Yeah, so it's very good. Yeah, we all had the launch fever, but we have to go through rules and safety procedures. Make sure the safety of the astronauts and NASA Dragon capsule.
Environmental life support systems, doing that flight leak check. I mean, all of this is a ton of learning that came out of here, even if we didn't ultimately go to space today.
Absolutely. So we're getting a cool view that we wouldn't have seen if they'd launched. They're making their way back down the crew access arm. And they are going to be turning the corner there, heading to the stairs that are going to take them down to the
problems with the vehicle at all, as Lauren, as you said, and it was just some weather. And I think if we have that same performance on Saturday, and the weather gods give us some good juju there, we'll be good to go.
Yes, please. I mean, we were so close today. It hurt my heart. If we had 10 more minutes, it sounded like we probably would have made it, but just was not to be today. And of course, we're gonna always do what is the safest thing for the crew. And as they head into the elevator there, we do want to go over to Operations and Support Building 2 now, where the NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine is standing by. He would like to provide his own thoughts now. We'll go to him.
Well, thank you, Marie. I know there's a lot of disappointment today. The weather got us. But I also want to say it was a great day for NASA. It was a great day for SpaceX. I think our teams worked together in a really impressive way. Making good decisions all along. So here in this particular case,
it was a good day, even for space NASA. Definitely agree for that.
There wasn't really a lightning storm or anything like that, but there was a concern that if we did launch, it could actually trigger lightning. And so we made the right decision. We had the parameters set ahead of time. The teams worked together, and in the end, the right decision was made. I will tell you.
I mean, I agree.
A lot of interviews over the last 2 days, and in those interviews, I get asked.
Safety first. Safety first.
Is there undue pressure here? People say to me, with all of the attention of the world on this launch, with all of the VIPs coming, are you going to feel pressure on this launch? And I will tell you, as I've told our teams, under no circumstances should anybody feel pressure. If we are not ready to go, we simply do not go. And I will tell you, I am proud. So proud.
I agree.
Our teams working together to make the right decision in this particular case. We have a lot to look forward to. In just a few short days, on Saturday afternoon, we're going to do it again. Here's what we know. We are going to launch American astronauts on American rockets from American soil. We're going to do that. We're very close. I also want to say that this was an important milestone just today.
I agree.
We did a wet dress rehearsal. We haven't done a wet dress rehearsal with our.
That's what it is. It's a dress rehearsal. Look at it this way. It's a dress rehearsal.
A wet dress. So we learn a lot every time we do these things. This is no different.
It's a good learning experience.
From doing what we just did. So,
and plus, too, they collect data to help NASA to help SpaceX.
So I want to say congratulations to both of the teams.
From Satellite Streaming Servers, congratulations. We are so proud of you guys.
And here we go again.
And Satellite Streaming Servers, we support NASA. We love you guys. Without NASA,
those were some great insights from
you gave me inspiration to start Satellite Streaming Servers Incorporated, or LLC. I love you guys.
Going to remain in quarantine until Saturday. They've been in quarantine for 2 weeks, and there they will stay to keep them safe and healthy for our next launch attempt. Again,
and hopefully it'll be Saturday. Woohoo!
Launch today because of unfavorable weather conditions around Launch Complex 39A, but we're going to be ready to do this again Saturday, May 30th. The new launch time will be 3:22 p.m. And our coverage will begin live here on NASA TV at 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time Saturday. So be sure
or on YouTube. Just type in NASA on YouTube.
If you're watching along online, and we will be back here.
I will try to be live
We will see you back here Saturday.
during the live broadcast. So you can go back here to satellitestreamingservers.net for the live broadcast. For the NASA SpaceX Demo 2 test flight has been scrubbed due to weather. The next attempt will be at 3:22 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, May 30th. To TV coverage or here on Satellite Streaming Servers YouTube channel. So I'm going to try to do a live broadcast with NASA. So you can visit either NASA TV or NASA on YouTube or at satellitestreamingservers.net. Anything else? I think that's about it. Look at all the people that are in the NASA still sending messages to the live chat. That's the kind of people that's so interested in space exploration. That's the kind of people we need to maintain the colleges. Okay. I was going to say this before, but I want to say it again. Those of you that are going to colleges, you missed. I know, because the corona epidemic, you can't go to colleges. You miss the college experiences, but isn't outweigh? I don't know how to say. I don't know how to say this. That doesn't outweigh the college experience for your education. Even if you get your college education through staying at home like I'm doing now over the internet, you get your college education through college courses through the internet for online courses. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. I've been to IT, not IT, but Heal College for IT, for information technology. And I was going for their school almost like a year and a half before they shut down. And they had to close all their campuses down due to a scandal, to another scandal. You know, I was fucking pissed. Okay, I'm gonna say I was fucking pissed. I shouldn't say fucking, but you know what? Hey, I was fucking pissed, dude. I'm still paying for it. You know, they say, well, no, you don't have to pay for it. I am still paying for it. Because, you know, I want to go to school to get an IT education. But you know what? I didn't let that stop me. I bought my own server. I started my own company called Satellite Streamer Servers LLC for DJs. People want their own internet radio station. I didn't let that stop me. That's the same way you guys that going to school right now. I know it's tough. You want the college experience, but sometimes the future doesn't always go the way you want it to. I mean, even if you can finish your schooling, do it. Don't be cut off like I did. The school was shut down by financial stuff, crap. I was pissed. I put a year and a half into Heal College, and they fucked up. I was pissed. Then when I tried to transfer to DeVry, they were saying, oh, nothing would transfer. That's bullshit. Doesn't matter if you go to college or a tech trade school. Everything should transfer. You're paying money for your school. Which I don't understand that fucking bullshit about nothing transfers. That's why I dropped out. Because you know what? I spent a year and a half at Heal College. Then I went to DeVry, say nothing would transfer over. That is bullshit. If you're in school and they say that shit, I should have fought it, but I didn't. Because you're paying money for these institutions. And why would you nothing transfer? Everything should transfer. I don't care if you're in a community college level, trade school. They should recognize that. And they should transfer you. That's why I dropped. That's why I dropped Healed. That's why I dropped college completely. I say, fuck it. I'm going to learn. I took what I learned. I got my own server. I got it up and running. Now I'm with hostdime.com. They're located in Tempe, Florida, Orlando, Florida. Started satellite streaming servers.net. I'm happy. I'm not making the money I want to, but it's something I love. You know, helping people to set up a DJ stream, radio stream. It could be anything. Whatever you want. You know, don't let education stop you. I didn't. I continued. I moved forward. I put my foot down. I said, you know what? Even if it's a job, I work at Black English LLC. what does Black Angus in Centerville before they closed the location. Whatever the reason was, I transferred to Black Angus Milpitas, which is a prep and line cook. You know what? I love Black Angus. They're awesome. They're there. I told them about what I do. I mean, a lot of management was supportive. I expect that. And whatever your dream is, go for it. Don't let your college online courses say, "Oh, I missed the college experience." Don't let that stop you. If you have the opportunity to do the online course, continue your education. That's important. I wasn't given the opportunity to continue my education. And they changed their plans on me. But if they give you the opportunity to continue your online education by internet, do it at home. Do it at home. I know it's tough. Yes, the online experience is important, or the live socializing is important. That's part of college history. But right now, we can't be at college. Set up support groups. Set up support groups. Say, for your college, for your groups. Keep the college alive. Do things online. Set up a party night party. I know colleges have parties, right? If you can't have parties at your dorm, does it stop you from having parties at your house or your parents' house? Set up dorm parties. You're still a college. You're still paying to get your education. Show the world this virus is not going to stop you from getting your education. Put your foot down and get your education, even if it's online. It's very important for the future of our nation. If you're going to school to be a doctor, lawyer, computers, IT, it's important. We need you to continue your education to help the United States government get through this crisis, even through space exploration. Just think about it. So if you think about dropping out of school because you don't want to do online courses, just think about it. Why? You're there. You're probably halfway through it. Why not just continue? Do it online. Hopefully, with your knowledge and your expertise, maybe we all together we can find a cure for this crap. I urge you, stay in school, even if it's online. Stay in school. Don't drop out. Hopefully they'll find a cure so we can go continue our school. You go back to your classes. But right now, we need you. We need you to continue your training, your education, to make America a better place. That's about all I have to say. But thank you for all you people that in our schooling, going to college. keep up the work. Keep learning. Don't stop. Anyway, take care. Hopefully that launch will happen May 30th. Of that, I am Jeffrey Scott Johnson, CEO of Satellite Streaming Servers, LLC. Of that, take care, and I will talk to you all later. Hopefully, maybe I will try to do another live broadcast. I guess that's about it. Of that, stay safe out there, and Godspeed.